This area of Winchester is one of the areas we want to redevelop. We've already agreed that Friars Gate over there is going to be demolished. That's part of the development area. Everything you can see behind me broadly is part of the central Winchester redevelopment area. One of the things we're very keen to do ahead of the work to redevelop the area is to make sure we really understand what's down here. So we've agreed a plan with really expert, nationally, internationally reputed archaeologists in terms of what we want to do here, in order to understand a bit more about what's down here, what we can learn about how the whole area was used and how we can protect the area for the future. That's what we're going to be doing shortly. That's what these test trenches are going to be used for. And it's very exciting. The whole project is exciting. It's exciting to think that we can get this bit of the city working better in the longer term, but it's also exciting that we can learn about our heritage and our history and what was here in the past as part of that project as well.
So we're looking at test trenches, but they are quite big, they'll be quite deep. We're aiming to explore an area of Winchester that little archaeologically is known about. There's a lot of documentary evidence. We've got historic maps which show the usage of the area from the sort of late 1500s onwards. But actual physical holes in the ground, knowledge, finds, artefacts, structures, things that have been found, very little. Well, the trenches have had to be carefully positioned because there's a whole range of site constraints, but where we have placed them, we've also tied in some overarching archaeological objectives. So the trench being marked out behind me is aiming to be located over a medieval lane which we know ran through this area called Palmer's Lane. A trench to the front of me will be located over a lost documented Saxon street, and other trenches are positioned so that we can hopefully find some evidence of the Roman city in this area.
So the four trenches, they're all 3 metres wide, and they vary between 8 metres and 10 metres long, and that allows us enough space to achieve the depth we need to get down to the archaeology, which we know is several metres below ground. We are targeting Roman streets and medieval streets, which, where we find them, will add very significantly to our understanding of the layout and topography of the Roman town and the subsequent phases of the town development, perhaps in the time of Alfred and beyond into the Norman period. In 2020, there was a geoarchaeological borehole investigation at the site, which provided some indication of what's down there, what's below ground, and from the boreholes we can see that there are several metres of deposits which we can break down into, broadly speaking, Roman deposits, medieval deposits, and break those down into even finer detail where they're telling stories of either buildings or rubbish pits or streets and what have you. So that'll be the kind of detail we're uncovering. I imagine we'll be recovering an awful lot of artefacts that tell the story, many stories of the activities that took place in this part of the town. So we'll be recovering an awful lot of building materials, but also pottery, glass, and potentially textiles and leather and wood, things that we wouldn't normally expect to find on excavations. The difference here being the exceptional level of preservation, which is afforded by its waterlogging.
I'm absolutely fascinated about the history of our city, how it's developed, and how this area was used in the past. Because a lot of the sort of early settlement wasn't in this part of the city, particularly in Roman times. There's less known about it. It's an area that didn't have cathedrals and colleges and castles in, and maybe was used in a more domestic way. It was the part of the city that made the rest of the city work. Nobody really knows, but I think that's one of the things that we'll discover as a result of this archaeological work. We'll start to discover. So I'm really excited and looking forward to seeing what we get out of it.